ultimate power can corrupt. That's the nature of power. And when they just dying to give their rights and power to government, that is like what scares me the most. And of course, because they are taking this for granted, they don't know how hard it is to be free. Like literally, I crossed the middle of Gobi Desert to be free. But the thing is, what I did was nothing. So many people fought harder than me, and they didn't make it. I was born in North Korea in the end of 1993 and escaped when I was 13 years old. And then went to China, then Mongolia, then South Korea, and I came to America. So it was a long journey to be free. When I was going to school in North Korea, like they were even in the math problems, they would say, you know, there are 4 American bastards. You kill 2 of them. Then how many American bastards left to kill? Then as like 7 years old, you say 2. Like American bastard was one word for North Koreans. We were not allowed to call Americans as like Americans. So I went to Columbia University in 2016. I transferred from South Korean University. I still remember at the orientation, I loved books. When I was in North Korea, history was forgotten. They don't tell us Big Bang or even the Jesus Christ or whatever the theory says how we came about as a humanity is not taught. So when I was at school, though, you know, I was excited about like learning about history and, you know, how the people thought back then. And one of the person at the orientation was asking who's like loves Jane Austen and who reads this classical books. And I was like, I love those books. I just like thought it was a good thing, right? And then she was like, did you know that those writers who had like colonial mindset or racist and bigots wrote their books? So they are subconsciously brainwashing you. And that's like when I realized, wow, this is insane. And like I literally thought America was that different, and I just saw so much similarity that I saw in North Korea, and I was started worrying about this country. Mainstream education is purposefully designed to now make resent this Western democracy. It's right, like the things that I was learning at school are appalling, right? They tried to explain things from everything was all about white men and how they tried to overpower and, you know, like how white men destroyed the humanity, right? Mao killed the most people than on this human history. He killed like 15 millions of Chinese during the Communist Revolution. And I mean, Hitler was like, killed like 60 million people. But the kids don't understand it, and they still playing this fire with the ideology with the called like communism or socialism. Like Colombia is all about safe place and all about like not having hate speech. And before every class, it is the same thing. Like we go around and like tell us your pronoun. And like English is my third language. I learned that as an like adult. I sometimes really like say he or she by mistake, not because I don't respect them, but now they suddenly ask me to call them they, and like how the heck do I incorporate in my sentences? I literally thought it felt like the regression in civilization, you know, and maybe even North Korea is just not nuts. Right? Like I was like, yeah, North Korea was pretty crazy, but not as this crazy. What shocking to me is that North Korea, we don't have internet, we don't have access to Shakespeare or like any of these great thinkers. We don't know. But here, while having everything, people choose to be brainwashed and they deny it. That's like where I question like what it means to be a human being. I still don't know. Education almost make you not to be able to think critically, even though in the name of critical thinking, that's what they do. Like I remember after my escape, they told me like critical thinking is what does that mean? And then they said like, you know, Kims were dictators, they go to bathroom and they were not starving. And in North Korea, I literally believe that my ideal leader was starving. He's the fattest guy, right? How can anyone believe that? And like somebody literally showed me a photo, look at him, like he's the fattest guy. Other people are all thin. And it's like, oh my God, why did I not think that he was fat actually, right? Because I never learned how to think critically. So I think that is almost the absurdity is happening in America. People see things, but still they just completely lost ability to think critically. Because I have seen oppression, I know what it looks like when they go after, okay, this speech is hate speech, we're gonna like ban it. But when it comes to deciding what is a hate speech, it usually comes the government. The North Korea, to the degree of controlling of people's thoughts, like they were purposefully removing the concepts like, love, liberty, human rights. And I still remember when I got out in South Korea, when I saw these like celebrities who were crying on TV, and it was like a fundraiser for like little puppies, the animal shelter. And it was like fighting for animals' rights. And I was like, what do you mean animals have rights? I didn't even not know I had the rights as a human being. And this is a paradoxical world that we are living in. These kids are literally just tearing like eyes and keep saying how they're oppressed, how much injustice they experience, and like they are like I mean they spend like almost $500,000 to go to this school, and like they are talking about like they are becoming a vegan, and I'm like, wow, okay. They are so bitter. They have zero appreciation for what this country did, what the Constitution says to protect individual liberty. They have zero appreciation. They're dying to give all their liberty away. It's like, where are we going from here? Like it's the future of our country is as bleak as North Korea if we do not rise up right now. Literally, we are going into this zone of like there's no like rule of law, no morality, nothing is good and bad anymore. So complete chaos. And I guess that's what they want. So eventually, they want to destroy every single thing, and then rebuild like communist, paradise maybe. I don't know what we are going towards.